Hi Sarah.
Hello.
Hello, so I'm Mark, a long-term friend of Sarah. So we're here today to talk about Lochverurie.
Yeah,
Am I saying that right?
you are.
Which is your novel,
Uh-huh.
which you wrote, is it about how many years ago now, is it?
Oh, too long. Very,
More
many,
than
many
many.
years ago.
So before we get into the nooks and crannies of the content, I just love the story about how it actually came into being, if you just want to share sort of the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, well, at that time that I started writing, my son was living in Spain and my granddaughter was actually born in Spain. And so obviously I didn't see very much of her and I didn't know how long they were going to be out there. So I just kept thinking, oh dear, she's going to grow up not really knowing an awful lot about not only me, but my life. And so I thought, well, if I make a book of all the stories, a storybook for her, then hopefully when she's an adult, she'll get much more of an idea of what my life is all about.
And there's something in the book named after your granddaughter.
Yes, yeah, I couldn't think of what to call the house where Flora and Alice lived. And I was thinking Angel House and the Universe House, and it just didn't go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I had a wee photograph of Liberty, and I thought, Liberty Lodge.
Oh.
And so that was how that came about as well. So it's a very personal book.
Yeah.
As well, it really goes into a lot of depth about my life.
And you mentioned, you touched on a couple of characters, Flora and...
Flora and Alice.
So do you just want to sort of, if we sort of delve a bit into the book. So is it kind of based a bit on you? Would it be fair to say?
Oh yeah, I mean I am Flora, basically. And Alice, I had a best friend when I was really young in Glasgow, and her name was Anne, but Flora and Alice were my cats at the time. Oh. So I thought I'd name the characters Flora and Alice, who lived at Liberty Lodge. Alice is a homeopathic practitioner.
Okay.
And Flora is a psychic, which I am.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, so they had lost touch from when they were at school as school friends, young girls, and then they met via Facebook, and then Alice had never married, and Flora, as I had moved down south. And so that they got together through the Facebook, as I say, and Flora was divorced and Alice, as I say, had never married.
Yeah.
So they decided to pool their houses together and decided to go and live in Lochverurie.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is up in Scotland.
It's a small hamlet just outside Glasgow. So you're close enough if you want to. You can nip into the city.
Yeah.
But you're living in the countryside, and obviously there's the loch.
So what kind of, so people reading it or watching this, what kind of things can they expect these sort of colourful characters to get up to in the novel?
Well, it's just really ordinary people, but in some cases living extraordinary lives. You cease to be shocked after a wee while, because there's nothing queer as folk, is there?
Well, no, quite,
really.
yeah.
So they never cease to amaze me with the things that they've got up to and things like that.
And each chapter, am I right in thinking, sort of focuses on different characters, or do we sort of, is all characters in all different chapters?
Well, the main focus is a character,
right.
But then you've got the other villages that come in, which is what life's all about, isn't it? You plod along, living your life, but then your friends or your family or whatever, pop in and they have an effect on you, which is, what happens at Liberty Lodge.
And these are the characters that sort of come in and leave. Are they all kind of based on people that you know in your real life, or?
No, some of them I've made up in my head, and some of them are true. when I've been relaying stories from my readings, I had to go back and ask the people concerned, is it okay if you know, you can choose another name or keep your name, whatever you like. But I had to, out of politeness, ask them if they minded that I published that. And so they said, no, that's fine. So nobody kicked up a fuss at all. Yeah.
So I have to mention while you're here, Margarine.
Oh,
I saw the YouTube video, and she's quite a character. So is she one that's based, if you can say, someone that you know? Is she completely...
Yes. She was, well, fundamentally based on my mother-in-law, who I was really fond of. And she really taught me how to be such a good snob, actually, my mother-in-law. And so she was the basis of Marjorie. And then other things, you know, came with it. You know, like she bred the dogs. And she was like, and is the village organiser, going around with her clipboard and, you know, all tweed suits and brogue shoes, darling, and all that sort of nonsense. But that was where the seed was planted, was my mother-in-law, because she wasn't but she was quite posh.
Yeah.
I mean, and
imagine she was fun to write as a character.
Yeah, because I felt so comfortable about her, because I'd actually known her. And as I say, from that seed, then I could embroider the character. So, you know, in the end, it wasn't really like my mother-in-law, but it was based on her. Yeah, it was. But that was one of the fun things to do. Yeah, she is my favourite in the book. Yeah. The Marjories of this world would never dream of having their cards read.
No.
But the way it came about in the book, it had to be sort of coincidental, because Marjorie as that character would not approach Flora and ask her to do her cards, because that's not her style.
No.
So, you know, she just pops in for a cup of tea, and Flora was going to read Alice's cards, and she saw the cards and, you know, oh, how fascinating, and never had those done myself, and all this kind
happens very organically and very
yeah. And again, that's what life's like, isn't it?
Absolutely,
really.
Yeah.
So but I mean, her life, you would never have guessed what went on in her life. You know, when she's Marjorie in Lochverurie, breeding dogs and organising everything and everyone, there's that sadness behind it all, what she went through.
Yeah.
But what she did to overcome it, it was so clever. And
but you're right, that's the thing, you give these characters such depth. They're not caricatures, they're really rooted in humanness.
Yeah, and I think that's what made it easier to write, because, you know, you're always, you know, we Brits are great for the underdog, aren't we?
Yeah.
And she was an underdog, and, you know, she rose above all of that and still maintained her character.
I mean, she really led the life that she wanted, didn't she?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally, yeah.
So I'm a big fan on YouTube of Patricia Routledge's Kitty.
Oh yes.
And I know Marjorie has found a new vocation in life as a bit of an agony aunt. How's that going for Marjorie? Another character I just want to sort of touch on is Archie.
Oh yes, yeah.
Great character.
Yeah. Well, he started off as my window cleaner at my house. And he was a miserable old devil. I'm not going to mention who he was. But he was a miserable old devil. Never had anything chirpy or, you know, light-hearted to say. And I really didn't like this man at all. And he came to do the windows whilst I was creating. I can't remember what I was doing, but it was something to do with Lochverurie, another character. And then he just got my goat, and so I thought, right, that's it. And so I then started, you know, and it's lovely, you see, that's the thing about Lochverurie. You know, I was actually in that village, and, you know, when, say, like, for instance, with Archie, I made him out to be a right so-and-so, which I'm sure this window cleaner wasn't, but it was fictional, so I could do
That's
whatever
the joy
I
of
liked.
creating a book.
Exactly.
You
You
can do
can
what you
let
want.
your imagination run wild.
And what's the feedback been from like friends that have read them and can spot bits of themselves in? How's it been received?
Well, you know, difficult for me to be objective,
Well,
really, isn't it? Because, you know, it's just been my friends and things like that, and they're all really complimentary about it. So, you know, don't really like to sort of sound too boastful about it, do you?
And then you touched on the psychic element.
Uh-huh.
So is that kind of a big theme running throughout the novel?
Yes, because obviously that's what I do, you know, and have done for many, many years now, you know. But I don't think I'm quite the norm as psychics, you know.
No.
I'm not airy-fairy or shot away or anything like that.
Because I think the way the media can sometimes portray characters with a psychic ability can be quite the stereotypical. How do you think this perhaps will maybe shatter some of those and be a bit more, oh, actually I can get on board with this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know, it would be nice if people felt a wee bit more open to going to see a psychic. But, you know, it's up to the individual, Mark. It really is, you know. It's like when people come and as a client and they say, oh, I've got a friend that wants to come and see you, but she's a bit scared. And I always say, don't force them. Please don't force them. Because you that's not what I'm about. Do you see what I mean? They will know, that person, that friend, will come to the conclusion themselves, I need to go and see that woman. And I don't want people to come through fear or... Because it's not right.
No.
It's got to be when they feel that the time's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, it's up to them, isn't it? If they believe, if they don't believe, then that's all right as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have to respect other people's opinions about things.
You do. Yeah. But there's also, I've read some of the novels, there's a lot of humour. Like, I think we need to really stress there is a lot of funny parts to this book.
Yeah, well, life's funny, isn't it? You know, and if you don't see the humour in life, you're not going to have a really good time on this earth plane, are you? Really?
And I think also in terms of timing of things, I feel now it's quite timely with everything going on in the world for a bit of escapism.
Yeah, and also I do feel that people generally are getting a lot more aware and more susceptible to be open to spiritual way of life, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because I think perhaps 10 years ago maybe it wouldn't have...
Resignated.
I think maybe less receptive. But I think 10 years down the line I think people are, like you say.
Yeah, but I do think that the lockdowns had a lot to do with it as well, because there's a lot more emphasis on mental health and things like that. And if you go and see a true psychic, there will be a lot of counselling in there, as well as predicting. Well, in my case, I tell you the past and the present, and so they already think, well, how did she know that? And she's got that right. So when I go into the future, they think, well, she had the past and the present right, so chances are, you know, she's going to be right about the future. So, yeah. But it's fascinating. It really is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great novel. Like, you should be proud of it. Like,
thank you, Mark.
It's hard to be objective when it's your own work, but no, I think people will really resonate with people. So
yeah, I hope so. I hope so. But as you say, more than anything, I just hope it makes them. Well, so it's a bit sort of 50-50. I hope it makes them think to be nicer to your fellow man in this world, and also to see the fun in life. You know,
absolutely.
And if you can get that nice mixture, you know, you're home and dry, aren't you, really? You know, it's a nice balance, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Sarah, so just before we wrap up, I just want to talk about sort of your hopes. Obviously, Lochverurie is a novel. What are your hopes sort of moving forwards?
Well, in an ideal world, let's put it like that, I would like to obviously have the book published, because I haven't attempted to have it published yet. And I mean, there's lots of medias that it could go to. It could go to Radio 4, you know, afternoon theatre, radio plays. But I would like it, ideally, I would like it to be picked up by a TV producer. And to me, maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but it would make ideal Sunday 8 o'clock viewing.
Because it's family friendly, isn't it?
It's, yeah, there's no swearing, there's no sex, and that is done purposely because, you know, people say, oh, you ought to put a bit of sex in there, Sarah. And I'm like, no, because my granddaughter's going to read this. She doesn't want to think that I think like that, you know? That's what I mean about the personal touch. Yeah, and I think I heard you describe it as there's two programmes. If you were to sort of mix them together, do you want to say what those two shows are, just to give people an idea of what? Yeah, well, it's a mixture between Ab Fab and Doc Martin.
Oh.
In as much that Doc Martin more so because you've got the village and then the characters and, you know, you've got that main character, i.e. Doc Martin, whereas the main character is Flora. But I think it would be, you know, nice sort of light entertainment, which is what we all need. We need the humour, we need something that isn't too deep. I mean, there's room for that, obviously, thrillers and all the rest of it. But, you know, it would be a refreshing change to just watch something light-hearted. I mean, look at when The Darling Buds of May.
Oh, such a great series.
Everybody loved that because it was
just
a wee
feel
bit
good,
of nonsense.
like even saying it now makes you feel like wondrous.
Yeah, you remember.
Like
Everybody remembers.
wholesome and just
Yeah. Oh. So it's that sort of similar vibe. So I think, you know, that would be my ideal dream. That it went on television.
Well, let's watch this space. So
yes,
thanks, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mark.